Okay, it's one thing I want to share. Something about MLK that I didn't realize until recent years. Of course, from our 12 years of history class in school, we know who MLK was, and we know what he did. We know he was a major leader of the civil rights movement, which of course we know was the nonviolent movement against inequality back then in the 1950s and 60s. We know he was a reverend. We know, thanks to J. Cole, we knew that his wife was Coretta Scott King. We know he got assassinated in 1968. But I learned something about him that, we didn't really dive into in school, and that's something more about his motivation, kind of why he did what he did, the way he did it. I.e., for example, the nonviolent philosophy of the civil rights movement. He pushed that because, there were other approaches to fighting for equality that didn't believe in nonviolence. We know that there were other movements that believed in a more, I guess, aggressive approach to it. And really, that was the popular feeling back then, especially when racism was at its prime. People was tired of it. And it wasn't until I heard one of his speeches titled Love Your Enemies that I seen the heart, the core of the nonviolent philosophy of the civil rights movement. And that heart of the movement is out of Matthew chapter 5.
Ye have heard that it hath been said, Thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them that despitefully use you.
Martin Luther King said it, and I think we can agree that people feel like this command is pretty much impossible. And I agree. I think that if we're honest, we would say that we're more of the eye for an eye type, But he felt that this command was necessary. And the reason is MLK understood the message of the gospel. He stood on the truth that love, unlike hate, has a redemptive, a changing power. And you know what? He gave us an equation. He said, hate plus hate equal only intensified hate.
Because when you start hating anybody, it destroys the very center of your creative response to life and the universe. So love everybody. Hate at any point is a cancer that gnarls away the very vital center of your life and your existence. It is like corroding acid that eats away the best and the objective center of your life.
But like I stated, MLK was convinced that loving our enemies was the only truly effective way at combating the hate that we were getting back then. Listen to this.
That love has within it a redemptive power. And that is a power there that eventually transforms individuals. That's why Jesus says, love your enemies. Because if you hate your enemies, you have no way to redeem and to transform your enemies.
So that's what I want to honor my man Martin Luther King for today on his birthday, okay? He had great faith. He's seen how God loved his enemies. And he knew that us as people of color need to take the same approach to combat the severe hate that we were facing in that period. And he did it. He was, as a youngster, say, about that life. And we see how God blessed his efforts, how he blessed his faith. The movement was a success. So on this MLK Day, as we enjoy the day off of work, praise the Lord. But let's remember his motivation, the truths that he was grasped by that empowered him to fulfill his calling and to change the world. All right, peace.
So this morning, as I look into your eyes and into the eyes of all of my brothers in Alabama and all over America and over the world, I say to you, I love you. I would rather die than hate you. And I'm foolish enough to believe that through the power of this love somewhere, men of the most recalcitrant bent will be transformed.